The Online Entrepreneur Motivation Series, discussing ideas, strategies, and mindsets to help online entrepreneurs become more successful. Right now, we're going to talk about goals and knowing your goals. And before you roll your eyes or turn this off or run away screaming, don't worry. This is a short but important topic. And even if you've done the goal setting thing before and you're tired of hearing about it, I want to remind you of a few things that you may have forgotten, because this is an important topic, and the best entrepreneurs are very goal-oriented and meticulously study and enhance and focus on their goals on an ongoing basis. So let's discuss this quickly to make sure that you're not missing anything. Now, I'm going to start by talking about traditional goal setting and how overrated a lot of this stuff is, where if you go back to your school days, there's very likely a point in time where you learned about the SMART model of goal setting, where your goals should be specific and measurable, attainable and realistic and time-based, and that's great, and it has its place. But you're an online entrepreneur. You're running a business by the seat of your pants. Things are changing all the time. It's a very dynamic environment. Even setting a quote-unquote realistic goal is almost impossible these days because things change so often. And not to mention the fact that when you set goals that are very realistic, so let's take weight loss as an example. It's realistic to say, I'm going to lose 5 pounds this month. But it's not very inspiring. Whereas if you have some weight to lose and you say, well, I'm going to make it my best month ever and I'm going to shoot for 25 pounds down. Now that might be a little much depending on your weight, but you get the idea. If you go for something way more aggressive, something the average person would call quote unquote unrealistic, you actually have a sense of urgency. You have a sense of inspiration, a motivational fuel that doesn't exist otherwise if you create very, very basic and conservative and quote-unquote traditional goals. And so I want to talk about the fact that being unrealistic when it comes to your goal setting is actually a very good thing. Being unrealistic is, your goals are unrealistic when you start sharing them with other people, not entrepreneurs, but regular people, and you start sharing these goals with other people, and they look at you funny, and they look at you like you're crazy, like you're just out to lunch and you're totally detached from reality. That's actually a really good thing. If you start studying really successful entrepreneurs, they think like this all of the time. They're always pushing their own boundaries. They're setting goals that stretch them, and they're okay if they don't even hit those goals. It's more about the belief that you create in yourself when you set unrealistic goals. So that's what I want to really remind you about today, is really focus on what you can do to extend yourself by setting your goals in an unrealistic type of way. Now, here's the thing. Goals often get missed. And I'm sure right now you're running a business. You've probably had different plans for your week, for your month, quarter, you name it. And you set a goal of maybe some kind of revenue target or sales figure that you wanted to hit, and you missed that goal. And you set a new goal the next month and you missed it again. And this just happens. But the thing is, when we miss goals, it's not a bad thing, especially when we're operating from this mode of unrealistic, aggressive, passionate goals. Because when you miss these goals that are huge, they always lead to other opportunities, and they're often really, really exciting opportunities. I can think of times in my own business where I set a huge goal, I failed miserably, but I got so far along that path that I found a new opportunity that I never would have known existed had I not set this goal. There are people whose entire life stories have unfolded that way because they were out on the edge doing something they really shouldn't have been doing, and it uncovered a whole new area of life for them. So be okay with missing goals. Be okay with failing a goal, so to speak, because you know that the goal is so big that even just pursuing it is going to advance you down the line, and that's how you become successful as an entrepreneur. Now, let's talk a little bit of strategy here when it comes to goals. Short-term versus long-term goals. You need to, at least in your mind, have an idea of a goal that you can shoot for in the long run. A good long-term goal could last anywhere from a 3-month to a 1-year window. It's something you're going to be really working at for a longer period of time. And your short-term goals are the goals that you focus on as stepping stones to your long-term goals. The long-term goals give you a perspective of where you want to go, and that's often changing as well based on today's environment and today's scenarios. But that long-term goal, even as it evolves, your short-term goals are what get you there. So if you have a goal to earn $1 million this year, then you can break that down to be roughly $83,000 or $85,000 a month. So your short-term goal, if you want to earn $1 million from now until 12 months out from now, then you know that on average, you're going to need to be earning 83 grand per month. So you can make your short-term goal 83 this coming month. And that makes it a lot easier to manage. It makes this whole idea of setting unrealistic goals come back down to earth a little bit. It makes you a little bit more rational, and other people can at least say, okay, he or she has a plan for this so-called unrealistic goal. Now, you may have been earning $5,000 a month up to now, and suddenly you want to jump to $83,000. Well, that's cool. Set that goal, but also realize that there's a very good chance you're going to miss that goal, as I mentioned on the previous bullet point. So you need to adapt your strategy, and maybe your short-term goal for the next month is, okay, well, 83 was the goal last month. Fell a little bit shy of that because we'd only been doing 5. Let's see if we can get halfway there. Let's make it 40 and see how close we can get. And this is sort of the adaptive nature that goals will work for you in your business. Now, another empowering and very powerful piece of goal setting is your ability to share your goals with as wide an audience as possible. Now, if you have a mastermind group, that's great. If you want to go onto Facebook and share some of your bigger goals with everybody in your personal world, your friends and colleagues and family, even better. Because once that level of accountability is on the line, you know instinctively, maybe you've already done this, right? Maybe you've put something out there in the past, and then you thought, oh man, now everybody knows that I'm attempting to do this thing. I better get it done. I'm going to look like an idiot. That pressure is really, really good for self-motivation. And it's also great if you just care about results more than anything else. So be prepared to push yourself to share your goals, but then also be prepared to fail those goals, even though everybody's watching, in exchange for the lesson that you're going to learn. So if you pick a great, big, huge, enormous goal, to earn some crazy absorbent amount of money, and you declare that goal publicly, and you fail in your attempt, hey, you're going to learn something along the way, because I guarantee you're going to be pushing yourself way harder with everybody watching than you would if you were trying to do this silently behind the curtains with no accountability whatsoever. So make that your mission. So let's talk about some exercises. First, writing down your goals. Now here, it doesn't really matter on the length or the term of your goals. Just get into the habit of writing them down. So maybe you want to start with writing down your goals for this week. Maybe there's a particular project you need to get finished, a certain number of calls you need to make if you're a salesperson. I don't know, but write those down and make a point of writing them down every single day. And then do daily tracking. This is the second half of the exercise. Go back to look at those goals that you've set. If they're week-based goals, then go back every morning and look at the actions that you've been taking on a daily basis that have been moving you towards them. Review your progress and then plan your next steps. If you actually take the feedback you got from the actions you took the previous day or the previous month or whatever type of goals you're doing here, then you can use that to accurately plan your next series of steps. But the daily tracking is absolutely key because it brings your conscious awareness down to a much more granular level. Whereas if you're only checking or tracking once a month, then you're going to lose control of your goals and you'll never ever reach them. Whereas if you do the daily tracking, you have a much greater chance at actually hitting these probably unrealistic goals that you've already set for yourself. So I hope this has been a great reminder for you of the type of goal setting you need to be doing as an online entrepreneur to be successful. Now make sure you get to work, and most importantly, make sure you do those exercises of writing down your goals and tracking them every single day.